going to try to find ways to help players pay for their likeness. And we're supposed to hear some results in October. So if that happens, if that goes down, we may get a game next year, as early as next year.
Oh man, that's
that. So I'm just, dude. Like I miss NCAA football so much. Like I still have NCAA 14 with Denard Robertson on the cover. Oh man, I think that's when I really last stopped playing video games. It really is.
All right, there we go, baby. All right, and we're live for QQ. Ladies and gents, thanks for tuning in to another edition of the wonderful fourth quarter call. Thank you for making it, tuning in. You know, the boring summer right now, but, you know, with us, football never effing dies. Welcome as your host, as always. I'm Josh, and joining us is Tim, the star man. We got Mr. Kyle showing up tonight from the D, and we got Brian.
What's going on?
As always. And just missing tonight is Jason and Fogometrics, but we could probably do.
Who cares about them?
That's true. Thank you. I was getting to that point. We could do our due diligence without those rascals. This is a second warning for both of them, though. Y'all are on notice. And bring your NFT letters to Timothy first thing Monday morning. Cut the shit.
Right.
First thing Monday morning.
Right.
First thing.
Or you're fired.
Anybody have anything they want to get off their chest before we get into NFC North over-unders? Anything bubbling on their hearts right now? Anything? Any lava? Any embers?
It has something to do with the NFC North. And we don't want to talk about this much, but
okay. All right.
You know, I'm not really sure who the hell Matt LaFleur thinks he is, but he needs to let Aaron Rodgers do his thing. And I just that story just kind of just annoyed me this week. Because last time I checked, Matt LaFleur has.
Can you actually touch up on the story for us, Brian? For some of us that didn't actually read it or get in depth with it.
Matt LaFleur, the head coach, the new head coach of the Green Bay Packers, is I don't want to call it a rift with Aaron Rodgers, but there's some disagreements of whether Aaron Rodgers should be allowed to audible out of his own plays. Matt LaFleur has his own system where it's pretty much set up for Aaron Rodgers to pretty much use his own plays, but deeper into the game. Aaron Rodgers doesn't really like that. He wants to audible throughout the game. And, you know, they're trying to work out some things. They're trying to, you know, try to come up with an agreement, I guess, to see what they can do to kind of compromise with each other. But I think the compromise should be, Matt LaFleur, get the hell out of my way. I'm Aaron Rodgers. I'm a Super Bowl champion. I'm an MVP. And I'm one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Let me audible my own plays. So you can put your system in there if you want to. But if I see something that I don't like, you know, what I've been doing the last 12, 13 years has been working. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Aaron Rodgers has earned the right to audible out of his own plays. That's just what I want to get off my chest right now. So I'm just kind of interested to see how that's going to work out because already in June, there's trouble in Green Bay, seemingly.
Well, I disagree with that, Brian. I really do because this is what Aaron Rodgers wanted. He wanted a brand new coach. He got Mike McCarthy fired out of there. Matt LaFleur is the head coach. He has to understand that if the head coach wants a certain way to run the system, then do it. Don't go away from it. And then when you fail, you're gonna point fingers at the head coach and hey, he's not doing what I want. You know, and that's the bottom line. Hey, listen, you know. It is a new system. I don't think Aaron Rodgers should be trying to get out of it. Don't get me wrong. You do need an audible if you recognize and you feel like the play is not good enough for that drive. But at the same time, that is the head coach. This is what he wanted. This is what he's gonna get.
All right, fellas. All right. And Kyle, it looks like you wanted to say a rebuttal real quick. He wants to.
Like, no, fuck him.
I knew you wanted to just. You're giving us the too long didn't read version of what you really want to say, Kyle. I know.
No, because look, it's Aaron Rodgers. It's dramatic. Come on. You know.
It is. It's always dramatic. It is. It really is, though. I agree with you.
I want to bring up a few things that have happened as of late in the NFL. First things first. Former Penn State quarterback Trace McSorley, as you know, plays for the Baltimore Ravens, is actually moonlighting as a punt returner.
Yep.
You remember back at the combine, he was asked to switch positions and work out as a defensive back. I guess we're getting closer to that because they're trying him at punt returner. I don't know if he's going to be a Taysom Hill type, but might want to look out for that in the Charm City. That may be your starting punt returner, Trace McSorley. Other news. Something funny happened. So in case you're under a rock and just don't keep that same energy, the Detroit Lions traded tight end Michael Roberts to the New England Patriots. We thought they did. He then took a physical with the Patriots and failed it. So he was then sent back to Detroit. Detroit subsequently waives the guy because, hey, if you try to trade me and it didn't work, I can't keep you now. Coincidentally, the Green Bay Packers pick him up on waivers. Well, turns out today that he failed that physical and was waived immediately. So let's recap. He gets traded, fails a physical, goes back to Detroit. They waive him. Green Bay picks him up on waivers, and then they waive him a day later because he failed physical. Oh man, I feel bad for the kid. I think that also grows to show, like, how stupid are you? If a guy fails, if a guy fails, a physical, like, do you have different physical stats? I mean, what's going on? Like, you tell me. And finally, there was some news this week about Daniel Jones getting booed already. Guys aren't taking a snap of anything.
It's Blue Mamba. They need to chill.
And they're booing the guy already.
Most Yankees fans are Jets fans. Let me just say that.
It's truly amazing. I'm like, guys didn't touch the field. You can't boo him now. You gotta wait.
That's that New York media, isn't it?
Crazy.
Gotta boom before the guy does anything. New Yorkers are assholes, dude. They really are. You should see me at 8 a.m. on the highway.
And finally, apparently, Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford was playing in 2018 with broken bones in his back. If this is true, I think that's incredibly stupid because they were bound to be terrible last year. So I would not risk my career to gut it out for a team that was going to be bad regardless. So,
but then they revise a statement and it's more like, oh, it was just a slight crack in his A7 vertebrae, which is really like non-life threatening.
Right.
So was it like a few bones, like boom, 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 or was it just like, oh, there's a little weather vane crack right here?
Well, because the Detroit Lions are the Patriots of the Midwest, apparently, we'll never know. They'll never disclose as to how serious and how. You figure the guy could throw a ball 30, 40 yards down the field. I guess his back isn't terribly broken, but I don't know how much pain he was in doing so.
We also got a little just snippets out of New Orleans about Michael Thomas and the Saints being far apart on a new deal. So I wonder if sooner or later we could be seeing another 13 get dealt for some, I don't know, could we call it a blockbuster trade then? Would that be considered with Michael Thomas? Or does it depend on how much he yields in a trade were he to be traded by the Saints?
That could be something. I mean, I'd say
how do you classify the blockbuster trade to actually? Would you classify that based on the person being traded, or does it depend on what he yields?
I think it's a mix of both. I think sometimes the person can overtake that, but usually in a blockbuster trade, it's got to be both. So, is Michael Thomas well known outside of New Orleans? I guess it depends on who you ask.
But wouldn't it go by production? Because he is probably
he's
top 7 wide receiver, top 8, top 7.
Oh, yeah, he's very prolific. There's nothing taken away from that, but I don't know. That's a good question. Would it be a blockbuster thing?
Yeah,
it won't cause as much hype as like Odell Beckham Jr. being traded.
Probably not.
I won't. But Michael Thomas is a stud receiver. It's going to be very interesting to see how much he gets because right now we got Michael Thomas, we got Julio Jones, we got Amari Cooper waiting in the wings. And speaking of that, Cowboy Nation, I got some message from you guys on my feed. Let me explain this to you. You have to pay players. Bottom line, players. I keep what I can't stand is when fans says if they should have paid him, this would have happened. Understand. The agent knows what player is going to be available to be signed, and his job is to get his client the most money he can get. So if Amari Cooper if Amari Cooper now is becoming a free agent, and his agent goes, wait a minute, we got Julio, you got Michael Thomas. You don't think he's like, hey, wait a minute. It's not like there's a football game tomorrow where he's going to risk an injury and his career is over with. We have a lot of time for the first game of football. So this is a lot of time to find out what he can get and what he can sign for. Because again, if you give a player money early and then the player gets hurt, then it's like damn if you do, damn if you don't. Again, the name of the game is wait and see, and we gotta wait and see what Michael Thomas gonna get, Julio's gonna get, and that may be the market where Amari Cooper's gonna get right there. Excuse me, Julio Jones I was referring to. So again, these three receivers are gonna make between 18 and 20 mil. It is what it is. Money's going up, cap is going up. It is what it is.
Julio will actually be very interesting based on his production still, but also factoring in the age. I wonder what the franchise would be willing. I think there might be one sucker of a franchise out there willing to spend more than they actually should based on his age, but they will fetch it to him just because he's Julio and he's just a freak of nature. So it could be very interesting. He ends up being, at one time the highest paid, and then at the second time around, second payday, maybe he's like the third or fourth, getting a pretty salary.
I want to add this in to anybody who in fourth quarter Quarrel. Brian had put up a question a long time ago that now is like, oh shit, this is resurfacing. You put up a question about AJ Green. Should AJ Green be paid? AJ Green is 30 years old, the same age I believe as Julio. Is he 30?
Yeah, he's 30.
Yeah. Remember, we talked about is Dez or AJ Green older, and we were actually, they're around the same age.
Listen, and now if Julio Jones gets paid, will the Bengals dish out in their pockets and pay AJ Green?
Oh no, they're not paying that. He's gonna be 31 before the season. He's
okay.
31 years old.
Do you see him being traded, Brian?
I see him if he's not as productive, like under this new system with Zach Taylor, if he's not as productive maybe before the trade deadline, I'm not sure when that is, week 6, week 7. I can see him dealt within the season. I don't think they're going to trade him before because they want to see how he does in this new system. And because I was talking to someone about this. The Bengals are one of those teams that can sneak up on you because they have with this new system with Zach Taylor, Andy Dalton. I mean, he's on his last leg. AJ Green's pretty much on his last leg. This is probably the last time this group, this nucleus, is going to be together. Joe Mixon's an up and coming, possibly could end up as a top 5 back. Offensive line is really, really strong. Billy Price leading the way. This is a team that can really, really surprise them. The AFC North is wide open. I'm telling people right now, it's not a done deal with the Browns. And
it's a done deal. It's a done deal. It's a done deal. Hey, it's a done deal. The Steelers are winning that division. It's a done deal.
I'm not gonna say that.
It's over.
Even as a fan, as a Steeler fan, I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk. I really don't.
I said it's going to be a cakewalk. I said they're going to win it.
I think they're going to win. I have Baltimore winning it. But what I was saying is, going back to AJ Green, I don't know. It's interesting. I think it depends on how he starts out the season. I think it really does. I think if he starts out hot, they'll keep him for one more year and let him go. If he starts out kind of slow, or there's some rumbles, or he just doesn't fit with that offense, or he just seems disgruntled, I think they can get rid of him midseason. I really do.
One more thing I know before we start, Josh, I want to put up is Josh Gordon. We all know he's banned from the new practice field because of the marijuana situation. But it's been told that him and Tom Brady have been working out in a different location, and some of the teammates has gone with him as well. You know what? That's awesome. That right there shows leadership with a player where probably the best offensive weapon I'm gonna have on my team can be here. My teammate can be here, but guess what? I'm gonna go to him. No, we're gonna go to him, and we're gonna practice and do what we need to do to get him ready. And I really do feel that with this marijuana thing, it's gonna be clear by the beginning of the season. They're gonna allow players to use, and I think that's gonna clear Josh Gordon to go out and perform.
Let me just say one thing about Josh Gordon before we move on. Josh Gordon is a drug addict. Okay, he has an addiction. And in all seriousness, I don't think he needs to be focusing on football right now in his life. Josh Gordon is addicted to more than marijuana. Let's put it that way. He's done a little more than just marijuana.
Oh yeah, he said his middle school days.
Yeah, middle school days. I mean, he's done a little more.
Oh yeah.
People think it's just weed. It's not just weed. Like if it was weed, okay, that's one thing.
Those
But
opiates,
opioids. He's done a little bit of everything. Really, he's dabbed into a little bit of everything. I mean, it's been said that he's played high. You know, in 2013 during that crazy year he had, he was high every single game, or he had something in his system. So, you know, and all due respect to Tom Brady going out there and working with them, I appreciate the Patriots really sticking by him, not throwing him to the wayside, making sure he's okay. Josh Gordon is an addict, and he's a guy that needs to get clean completely before he even thinks about football, because every single time we think he's getting clean, he returns to the field, and then he relapses. And I don't want to see that happen again to him. So I just hope, honestly, I hope we don't see him again this year, unless it is proven, and I'm not sure how you do that, he's totally clean. So that's pretty much what I want to say about Josh Gordon.
I'm no substance abuse counselor, psychologist, but as I said before, I would not be surprised if his drug use is because of football. If that's the case.
Yeah,
I'd rather him not play football anymore.
The environment, yeah, I agree.
Could be. Let's get started with the over-unders, though. We're tackling the NFC North tonight. We're going to be starting off with the Chicago Bears as our first victims. Stupid-ass Soldier Field.
Garbage-ass team. Fuck the Bears.
Our first topic for the Bears is Leonard Floyd and Khalil Mack combining for 22.5 sacks. That's right, both of them combining for 22.5 sacks. Right away, I'm actually just going to go ahead and say I'm going to go with the under on this, because Leonard Floyd's never going to be that linebacker that really exceeds 7 to 8 sacks in a season. Most likely Floyd with another good season, we'll see around 4 to 5 sacks. With that number, Mack would need to have 16, 17 himself and maybe hope for a little more production from the past 2 seasons from Floyd in the sack department. But another underrated factor is the departure of Vic Fangio. I wouldn't be surprised if they have only 15 or 16 combined sacks this season. I'm taking the under. Tim?
I'm with you, Josh. I'm taking the under. I don't recall. Well, that would be like Von Miller, and that would be Nick Chubbs. But I agree. Bradley Chubbs, excuse me. But the defensive coordinator was a big part missing. Sometimes when that happens, the new system is in place of the defense. We know the formation will still be a 3-4, but it would be different. I agree. Leonard Floyd is not that type of linebacker to get double-digit sacks. I think Khalil Mack would be the guy to take a whole load of it, like say maybe 15, and the rest would be Floyd to clean up. But I'm taking the under.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under too. Just given the fact that Leonard Floyd's never really been a sack artist. He's never really been the guy to get to the quarterback. You know, his rookie year, he had 7 sacks, which is his most he's had. And then he had 4 last year. Khalil Mack had his career high is 15, and last year he had, I believe, 12.5. Yeah, 12.5 sacks last year. So you know, they didn't even come close to what this over underline is combined last year, and then with the loss that Josh just came up with, I'm gonna go ahead and say under. But I think Khalil Mack is probably gonna be the reason why they come close. I think Khalil Mack's going to have another monster year. But I don't see 22.5 sacks from this duo.
Oh man, here we go. Again, to hell with the Bears. I hate everything about the city of Chicago. I can go on and on. I could talk for hours about how
Deep Dish is terrible.
Yeah, I think Chicago's just a garbage of a city and just an abomination of the Midwest. Coincidentally, it's like the only city that's been like economically viable. It's still
Thank God this is a football show and not
right, let's get back to it. I don't need politics, nothing like that. Fuck Chicago. No, in all seriousness. I'm taking the under, but slightly. I think so. They go from Vic Fangio to Chuck Pagano is their defensive coordinator now.
Trash.
I don't think it's going to be as aggressive of a defense as it was under Vic Fangio. I don't think it's going to be as blitz heavy. I think they'll get close to 22.5. But like you guys said, I think Khalil Mack will be carrying that. I like Leonard Floyd as a I don't know if Leonard Floyd's an every down linebacker right now. So he's kind of like just this pass rush specialist who will get you, a couple of sacks. He'll get to the quarterback a few times, disrupt things. I just don't think he's that necessarily that closer that's going to have 10, 11, 12 sacks at this stage in his career. Still very young. I still like his upside. I just don't think he's quite there yet. So slightly under.
Very well. Good shit, gentlemen. We're going to go on to Mitchell Trubisky having 3,800 passing yards this year. $4. You know what? Personally, I see Trubisky. Some may not agree with me, but I see him as the type of quarterback I would put in the kind of class alongside Marcus Mariota, having kind of a strong arm, can make the throw, but has a tendency and ability to scramble and gang anywhere from like 300 to 500 yards on the ground rushing in a season. I don't think they're ever going to really utilize away from that skill set as much as they may be coached up to stay in the pocket. So I realized Trubisky only played 14 games last year to get to his 3,200 yards. But and people instantly think, new year, more improvement from any player they see or any stat sheet that they look at. But that's not always the case. I don't see Trubisky ever being a volume passer or a 4K yard guy. He benefited heavily last year from having that number one defense in Vic, like we've been talking about. And he still had a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Nothing special. 24-12. I'm taking the under on this one, fellas.
Oh, you know what, Josh? I had a lot to think about with this. And the one thing that came into my mind was his numbers. His numbers did improve drastically. Matt Nagy did a great job with Trubisky. And all we kept on hearing from the day he got drafted was he needed to improve from his days in North Carolina. And, when I look at the roster, you got Allen Robinson, Taylor Gabriel, you got Riley Ridley, the new guy, you got Trey Burton, you got the running game, you got Mike Davis, you got Tariq Coleman. He is surrounded with a lot of talent. And just because his numbers did improve drastically, and it was about like 3,900 he had thrown for, you know what? I don't know how much he threw for last year? I'm sorry.
Trubisky threw for like 32-20 something.
32-20?
Whatever it was, yeah.
I see about 3,900. I'm going over. I see it.
I'm about to make a bet with you on this, Tim.
Oh, damn. We got to bet. We're going to bet with this one.
Man, I'm gonna 3,800. I'm gonna say slightly under. I think he's gonna get close. I think he's gonna continue to progress as a passer. I'm still not a huge fan of Mitchell Trubisky as a passer. One thing I do kind of like about him, though, one thing I did find interesting about him was he doesn't have a lot of, I don't know how you measure moxie and I don't know how you measure that, but it seemed like he seemed like a pretty good leader. He seemed like the guy. It sounds like to me, just visually, it looks like guys want to play for him, and they rally around him. He seemed like a pretty likable guy. That he's always saying the right things to the media, but that's beyond the point. I'm gonna say under. For pretty much some of the things that Tim said, but he does have some weapons around him. Tariq Cohen's gonna be the feature back. They got Riley Ridley, the rookie wide receiver out of Alabama. Allen Robinson is there. Quarrel Patterson could help out a little bit. He has some explosive weapons to where he could kind of throw the ball downfield. David Montgomery is there as well. Along with that defense, he's gonna get a lot of opportunities. Is going to take more chances under Mark Helfrich, possibly, but I still don't see him as a 4,000-yard passer just yet. But he does have the weapons to get close. But I'm going to say just under. I'm going to say about 3,750.
I'm going to go slightly under because I think they took David Montgomery. They still got Tyreek Cohen. I think this team still wants to have some balance. I don't think Matt Nagy is ready to take the proverbial training wheels off and lean on Mitch to be that focal point. I still think he wants to get the ball rolling in the run game. So I'm going to go slightly under.
And we're going to finish up the Bears class with Eddie Jackson having
God.
five
I'm talking about this shitty ass team.
INTs. Having the alliance of veteran Adrian Amos last season was critical to Jackson being that outfielder presence last season, in my opinion. As stated previously for the Floyd Mack line, the Vic Fangio departure as DC is crucial in Chicago, and we await to see if they can sustain that success with a new coaching regime. But the norm is usually seeing a casual decline. Eddie, I think, will be lucky to have 2 to 3 intos this coming season. I'm taking the under.
Oh, I'm taking the over. I think he was one of the best safeties to play last year. I was wondering how he got away from being a fourth-round pick the way he played. But again, you're around. What round was he picked?
Fourth.
He got hurt.
Fourth round.
Yeah.
All right. Listen,
He tore his ACL in his junior year at Alabama. He should have been a fourth-round pick.
National title game, I believe.
He tore his ACL in the national title game. Yeah.
Yeah.
you go to college expert right there. They tell you. Basically, it was the injury that got him going in the fourth round, ladies and gentlemen.
He should have been a first-round pick.
Fourth round?
No, he should have been a first-round pick.
Okay.
First-round pick. Yeah.
All right. But listen, the man is surrounded by that by Chicago Bears talent. Their new acquisition was Clinton Dixon. You still got Prince. You still got Kyle Fuller. You know what? It's nothing but studs over there. I'm going with the over.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the over. I think he could even match what he had last year. Last year, he had 6 picks. And Eddie Jackson, he's a ball hawk. He's just always around the football. He's always been like that since Alabama. That front 7 is still pretty much intact. So he's going to get a lot of opportunities to, play that outfield position, to kind of play that ball hawk in position. I'm going to go ahead and say over. I'm going to say he's going to match what he did last year with 6. No more than that, though.
I'm going to go under. Let's talk about schematics for a second. So Eddie Jackson played free safety. Adrian Amos was the strong last year. Adrian Amos is more of a thumper. What a strong safety is,
Strong
right?
safety is, right.
Leonard Collins. Sorry, go on.
Right. So this year he leaves in free agency, and Clinton Diggs comes in. Now, Clinton Diggs is also more of a free safety.
He's not a tackler at all.
He's not really a tackler. So, and Eddie Jackson has the flexibility to play both free and strong. Remember, he came to Alabama as a corner and moved to safety.
Right.
He went from corner to strong to free. And so he has the versatility to play both. I just think that if you move him to strong and to free, it's going to take away some of his opportunities in that defense. I'm gonna go under. I think he'll get 3 to 4 picks. I'm just not sure how this is gonna fit. I talked last week about how Jabril Peppers, Antoine Bethea, sort of, kind of, a lot of similarities. Can't really tell who's the free or the strong. Same situation here, and it does matter in this case because Eddie Jackson does kind of need that thumper next to him, playing strong to kind of allow him to roam the center field like that.
Agreed. I like it. Good breakdown. We're gonna break it down into the fucking Vikings next. Any slight remarks real quick? There we go. Yeah, thank you.
Shout out to Cueto.
Thank you, Dula. Quasimodo.
Chump. Yeah.
Breaking this down, Thielen and Diggs combined for 2,250 receiving yards combined. Now, it was some simple maths for you real quick. They combined for 2,394 last year, and the year before that, it was 2,125. It also helps that combined targets jumped to 302 last season, when in 2017, it was a mere 155. That shit almost doubled. I think that might speak to the trust the coaching staff has in my man, Captain Kirk Cousins, over Case Keenum. Y'all going to show some goddamn respect to my man, Kirkland, all right? And it starts today, June 19th. Anyways, you're damn right they'll combine for 2,250 again. If Jared Goff can have Woods and Cooks at 2,400 combined, there's no reason my man, Captain Kirkland, won't have these boys at 2,250 plus. Over! Timmy. Hit me with that. What you got? I know you love them overs. Give me another over. You gotta unmute yourself. Yeah, see?
Him.
You get so excited.
Haha. Nah, going with the under. I didn't like. I know last year, Adam Thielen, he balled out. He's a stud receiver. I didn't like the communication between Kirk Cousins, the staff, and the receiving corps as much. It was during the game, the Seattle Seahawks game on the sideline. A lot of bickering. Don't get me wrong. Teams gonna have that type of issue sometimes, but for some reason, I don't think it's a good match. They never addressed the offensive line for protection the way they should have done this offseason. Dalvin Cook, when we get to it later, is he reliable? So I'm going with the under. I don't like the whole offense. I don't like the.
Brian, you got the mute vaccine as
the same
well.
thing, Brian.
You're trying to copy me.
Jeez, it's a virus.
I'm gonna go under too for just different reasons than Tim though. I actually like the nucleus of this offense if they can just put it together. And health is going to be the number one thing with this offense. Obviously with Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook. I'm going to go under because I really believe they're going to try to run the football this year. They want to run the ball more. If they don't want because the more Kirk Cousins has the ball in his hands, the more stupid things he tends to do with the football. So I don't think they're going to want to pass. I don't think Adam Thielen's going to get that many receptions this year with 113. Or I think Diggs had 101, 102 last year. I think they're going to want to run the football a little more, get a little more balance there. And if Dalvin Cook can stay healthy, this definitely will not happen. So I'm going to bank it on Dalvin Cook staying healthy. So I'm going to go ahead and say under.
I'm actually going to go over, and it's for slightly because reasons Tim brought up. If you look at this team's depth chart on offense, this is not a deep team at all. Outside of Thielen and Diggs, your next receiver is Laquan Treadwell. Ouch. Outside of Dalvin Cook, your next running back is Alex Madison. I think they drafted him this year out of Boise State. Their offensive line, yeah, they did invest in getting the best center in the draft, right? Maybe the best offensive lineman in the draft, But this isn't a very deep offense. So if it's not very deep, Kirk Cousins is going to, deliver that ball to guys he knows are players, which would be Thielen and Diggs. So they're going to go over just by default. Like, there isn't much to do on this offense.
Boring offense equals over by default.
It's not even boring. It's just bad. Yeah.
And speaking of Dalvin Cook, he's our next subject. Dalvin Cook having 1,400 yards from scrimmage. Now, Cook only played 11 games last year, and he had 615 rushing and 305 receiving. My line for him this year is about 865 in the rushing department and 500 receiving or so. So I'm going to give him the slight under on this category. A big, attribute is, like you guys were talking about, can he stay healthy? And I'm not sure he can. Tim?
I'm going with the under. Yes, is he reliable to stay healthy? It's hard to say. We've seen his injuries since Florida State, and with them knees. But there's a running back they took in the third round out of Boise State named Madison Alexander, who they feel can be a 3-down back, and he could be the next. He could be like Latavius Murray was for Minnesota last year. So
your favorite fantasy running back, huh, Tim? Latavius? Give Latavius the ball.
Keep him low. yeah, him. But I think this kid, Madison Alexander, he's basically been one of the favorites under the coaching staff, even though they haven't been in pads yet, but for a lot of reasons, what they were saying during mini camp and stuff like in OTAs. So I think he's going to be the reason why Dalvin Cook doesn't get those numbers.
Yeah, I'm going to go under as well. I mean, it's predicated on health. I mean, I've like Tim pointed out. I mean, I pointed out when Dalvin Cook was coming into the NFL, I've always said every single time he would get up from off the ground at Florida State, he would limp. That was Dalvin Cook's career at Florida State. So I knew this coming in when he was coming in 2017, and it's still happening. He has some of the worst hamstrings in the world. I don't understand. His hamstrings just do not work. I don't get it. But I'm a Florida State fan, so I want him to go over, but I don't think he's going to go over. I think he's going to be slightly under. I think he's going to improve. He has put on some weight, so I'm going to see what that does. I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. I feel like it could go either way. I'm going to say under because I feel like if he's going to get over 1,400, he's got most of those yards are going to have to be from rushing, and I don't see him rushing for 1,000 this year. So I have him slightly under. I'm looking at maybe somewhere around 1,100 yards. I think he's going to have a career year, but I don't think it's going to be that splash year.
Is y'all finished or is y'all done?
That one.
All right. No, in all seriousness, I'm gonna go over again because I'm gonna reiterate: if you don't go over, Vikings are gonna be they're gonna be bad. I get that there's a health component, and I get that there is, that's not something to sneeze at, given at where the health concern is at. Let's pray to God he can last 16 games, because if he can't, that's gonna get ugly. Because I'm gonna reiterate, as good as Kirk Cousins' numbers were last year, the overall impact on the offense just wasn't seen because of that. Lack of depth, lack of guys to go to. It's worse this year, so I'm going over for the sake of necessity.
Good stuff, boys. And then finishing it up for the Vikings, we have Xavier Rhodes and Harrison Smith combining for 5.5 interceptions this season. Since Rhodes' 26th campaign where he had the 5 picks, he's taken a bit of a back seat to Harrison in the INT department. 17, it was Harrison who had the 5, and Rhodes only had the 2 picks. And then last year, Harrison had 3, while Rhodes only tallied 1 pick. I could see even more of a balance coming this year, as I can see like Rhodes ending up with 3, while Harrison goes down the list a little with 2 intos, only 5 between the two. And I think, this is they had a little bit of a lackluster year last year. Everson Griffin having some of his little mental issues, linebacker injuries. I think they get a little bit back on the road in the Vikings defense department. So I think we see a little bit of a rebound with Rhodes and Smith combined, but I think they're just going to be slightly under that 5.5 mark. I think they get like 5. Tim?
Yep. Well, I'm going with the over. It's only 5.5. Not much a big deal. Harrison Smith, basically, he had 3 last year, right? And I can see Xavier Rhodes getting like 3 more, or I can see Harrison getting like just 4. They both playmakers. They both the best players on the Vikings defense. So, especially when they're gonna have a chance when you're playing against a Bears offense, a Green Bay's offense, and a Detroit type of offense. Yeah, over.
I'm gonna say slightly under. I think, but not too much. Maybe it's 5.5, right? So maybe I'd say 4.5 or maybe 5. I think the majority are going to be from Xavier Rhodes, and he needs to get back on track. We want to see that duplicate of that 2016 year where we were calling him the best corner in the game, and his production's kind of slipped since then. So I think if he can get back on track, he can probably get about maybe 4, because last year he only had 1. Before that he had 2. So I think he can kind of bounce back. And Harrison Smith, I think he can grab. I think he's one of the best safeties in the game as well. He had a pretty down year as well. And I think they get back on track, so he could probably get maybe 1. So I guess 5. So I'll say slightly under. But I'll say about 5 between the two.
I'm going under, and I don't think it's gonna be Harrison Smith's fault. If you look at the Vikings at cornerback, they have him on one side, but then they have Trey Waynes on the other side, another first rounder. They have Mike Hughes, another first rounder. They also have Holton Hill. They have Mackenzie Alexander. He was a second rounder. Basically, they have a lot of corners. They have about 5 or 6 corners they've taken pretty highly. So I think I don't know if Rhodes. I think Rhodes is going to start to see some of his snaps decrease on defense as they kind of work in some of these guys who they got to play because they took them high. I think the same thing happens with Trey Waynes. He loses a few snaps. So under.
All right, good breakdown. And we're getting into the Packers. And then last will be the Detroit Lions. And for the first one, the Packers is going to be Rashan Gary starting 7 games. Gary, he should see quite a bit of playing time in rotation with Kenny Clark. But KC, he's still the man at nose tackle for the Pack until Gary shows the promise they hope to see within his potential. Well, I don't think the shoulder is a big issue like they chalked it up to be in the pre-draft. So they won't both be on there on the field at the same time in a 3-4, barring a special package. But Gary will no doubt play the 15 to 16 games this year. But the starting factor won't be there. He'll be lucky to start maybe 2 to 3 games this season. And if it comes, it'll happen at the tail end of the year. I'm going to take the under on this.
Man, I am taking the over. This is the first round pick. You got to replace these young guys with the age on that line. Mike Daniel, when he's 30 years old, and you got Montavious Adams. Listen. Mike Adams is old enough, all right? He's a free agent, I believe, after this season. Rashan Gary is a first-round pick. You got to see what your guys can do. It's going to also start up in training camp, okay? And once training camp hit, if Rashan Gary looks good, bam. If not, I can see towards like a week 5, week 6, and going straight forward towards the end of the season, I see him starting. I'm going over.
Yeah, I mean, Tim. If this was a word association game, he told me to describe the line of the defensive line of the Packers, I would say aging. And I think Rashan Gary is somebody who's obviously a rookie. He's younger, and he's got to get some snaps. And I'm going to say over. I feel like he could probably – I don't think he'll start out this season. I think they're going to try to, work him in there, obviously. But I can see him probably getting about maybe 10 to 11 starts this year. I'm going to say over.
Uh-oh, here it comes. I'm calling energy check on all 3 of you. Play the graphic. Energy check. Here's the energy check and why I said that. If you go back to the draft and listen closely, he was announced as a linebacker. Apparently, he's playing outside linebacker for the Packers. Therefore, so that's the question. Is he? Or is he going to play defensive end?
Oh, my God. This was a trick question.
So that's the thing. That's why I'm going to go under because I
can't picture him as a linebacker.
I was going to say, I don't know how that's going to work.
He's going to be a beefy-ass linebacker.
At 6'4", 277. At 6'4", 277, he's a big linebacker.
Unless he cuts down some weight.
He's beefy.
No.
That's like Montez Burfict, but
well, even then, they signed Preston Smith and Sedarius Smith to play linebacker, outside linebacker. So there's been talk about even playing him an inside linebacker. I don't know what they're gonna do with him. I'm not sure yet. That's why it's hard to really say. I'm gonna go under. He'll have a role, he'll play, but I think this year they're gonna move him around and figure out what is his position. Is he an end? Is he gonna be a big outside linebacker? Are you gonna put him? Because he has the athleticism to play inside linebacker.
Okay, so yeah, if anything, I would rotate him with probably Mike Daniels or Montavious.
He's strong enough to play the nose.
He's very versatile. Yeah. He played everywhere in Michigan. He played everywhere.
Outside of what Preston Smith and Blake Martinez, what do the Packers really have at linebacker? So they will experiment with him at linebacker, maybe the Mike or something if they maybe blitz purposes.
Right, but I do recall he was announced as a linebacker and he was talked initially as being an outside linebacker for them. I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't know if he's that athletic in coverage to play outside linebacker.
Well, question to you, to the college scout team, Brian and Kyle. Well, LeVon Kirkland played at 6'1", 276 pounds as a Steeler. 6'1". Sean Gary 6'5". About in the 270 range.
Right.
277.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not saying it's impossible.
Right.
I'm just looking at, in order to be all right. So if you're an outside linebacker in a 34, you got to rush and you got to cover.
Right. Roquan Smith status, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's different rushing as a 5-tech D end with both hands in the dirt versus being upright.
Upright, very different.
Right, because as a 5-tech, you're taking on guards and centers. As outside linebacker, you're taking on tight ends and tackles. So maybe again, like athleticism wise, maybe from an athletic standpoint, you do like that matchup against the right tackle. So you'll play him at left outside linebacker, right? Then again, on coverage down, it's one of those things where it's like if you don't want to get to a point where when you put him on the field, they know what he's going to do. It's like, all right, this big motherfucker's playing outside linebacker. He's rushing.
I was going to say that. I've never seen personally. Maybe you watch more Michigan games than I did, Kyle. I've never seen Gary drop back.
No.
So I don't know how that's going to work.
So I'll say this. Don Brown did a little zone blitzing, but he was coming from a 3-point stance. So he was playing defensive end or defensive tackle. He might have some exotic looks that he might have some stunts or some twists with him and Devin Bush. But no, he didn't like stand up.
Right. I never saw him stand up at Michigan. So it's going to be interesting to have him at linebacker. I mean, it's going to be interesting experience. I mean, Rashan Gary he's a very, very he's an enigma because he came into college as one of the best high school players ever. Like he was supposed to be like some transcending player, comes to Michigan, doesn't really live up to that hype, but still is drafted in the first round. So the kid has talent. So I mean, let's see if the Packers can pull out this potential.
It was definitely a case of his talent did not match his production.
No.
And part of that was there was a lot of other talent on that defense, i.e. Devin Bush, i.e. Trey Winovich, i.e. David Long,
Jabril Peppers.
Yeah, Jabril Peppers at a time. A lot of defensive tackles that are in the league came from Michigan. Mo Hurst. Was that. I think the other part of it was I don't know if he ever got comfortable as a defensive end. I think he's more of a defensive tackle, but then you look at his athleticism, you feel like you're wasting that defensive tackle.
Yeah.
So we'll see what he does in the NFL. It's interesting to see where they'll play him. I'll pay to see him play outside linebacker. I'll say that.
Yeah, that should be interesting. I actually hope they do for my own entertainment value. Aaron Rodgers is our next and last, or no, it's second to last. I apologize. Packer Aaron Rodgers has 4,550 passing yards this season. Now, the only time Rodgers has thrown over 4,500 came in 2011 on an anomaly season, in my opinion. A 14-1 record, 46 40 yards, 45 TDs, and his yards per attempt was 9.2, which is unworldly. Even on almost 600 pass attempts last season, he wasn't even able to eclipse 4,550. And I don't like the unproven wide receivers he's going to have to work with this season outside of Davante Adams. Geronimo Allison, we'll see how he pairs, and he only saw, step-ins or filling games. Valdez Scantlin, I can't really put too much faith in. St. Brown, kind of the same. These guys are like 50-50. They could either make it or break it this season. So Aaron Rodgers is going to have his plate full, dealing with a new head coach. I just really don't see him having, the best season of his career right now. I'm taking the under.
Hey, listen, I'm taking the under for the reasons we spoke about earlier about his issue with the head coach. It's a new system. Aaron Rodgers has not thrown for about 4,600 yards. He only did it one time in 2011. After that, he has never. And I think that will continue this season. I'm not saying that he won't have a good year. I just don't see him going for that much, especially now. If the reports are true that he will be restricted in this type of offense, but he can't even call his own audibles, I'm going with the under.
I'm going to go with the under too, but I will say it's going to be pretty close because he has thrown for 4,400 yards 3 times and 4,200 yards a few other times. So he's come pretty damn close to doing it a few times in his career last year as well. And last year was supposed to be a down year. So I think this year is going to be a little bit of I think it's going to be a little up and down year for Aaron Rodgers and the Packers because of the new system, and there's already some I don't want to say beef, but some I guess discord between him and his coach already, and apparently Matt LaFleur is going to be coaching from like a freaking wheelchair or whatever, he tore his ACL playing basketball. So that's going to be weird on the sideline with Aaron Rodgers of all people. And I'm gonna say under. I agree with you, Josh. I'm not really sure about his receiving core. I actually like St. Brown. I think he's going to emerge. I like him a lot. Davante Adams, he's definitely coming to his own. Aaron Jones, see if he can have a repeat of last year of his production. This year can go either way for the Packers. I mean, they have Aaron Rodgers, so if you have Aaron Rodgers, you have a chance. But I'm gonna say under, and I think it's gonna be one of those years where again Aaron Rodgers is gonna be looked at as having a down year. But I'm gonna say under though, not by much.
I'm going over. I think he'll go over. I think he'll hit around 4,700. And I think what's going to help him do that is the emergence of a running game. Finally, he has kind of a solidified running game, right? And also, as I've heard prior, everyone talks about how, he's never had a defense. Well, look at how many first and second round picks they spent on defense the last 4 or 5 years. They've been stockpiling talent. So this idea, and this year they had 2 first rounders, and what they go? Defense. They get Darnell Savage, they get Rashan Gary. Then they get a center in the second round. So it seems like they're trying to remedy all these things that we've talked about with Aaron Rodgers not having. So I think we'll go over. I think the offense will have a pretty good year under Matt LaFleur. So I think all this talk is kind of overblown for now. Listen, let's be real. Aaron Rodgers is an asshole. That's not going to change. It is what it is. Some would say he has the cash to do so, whatever, but it is what it is. I'm not really worried about that part. He'll ball out if he can stay healthy. If that team can stay healthy, I think he can eclipse that.
I will give you that, though, with the Packers defensive backs. You got some good stock back there with the Kevin King, Jair Alexander, Josh Jackson. And then even the safeties, Adrian Amos came over, and Josh Jones was a second rounder in 2017. They got Tramon Williams over there from Arizona. So could be interesting in the backfield. It's just all about how we'll see how that front comes together. The linebackers is really the interesting part for that.
Yeah,
that Packers team. So
even with that, they went and got Preston Smith and Zadarius.
So the left side will be really intact.
Right.
Let's see what we got. Last one for the Packers is actually Davante Adams, and his mark is going to be 12 receiving touchdowns. His targets rose from 117 to 169 last season, and he still missed a game while amassing 1,386 yards, scored 13 times. Davante will be the lead dog this year with a bunch of unproven young bucks under his wing. Last year, Davante led the league with 31 targets inside the 20-yard line, scoring 12 of his 13 from that mark on 16 receptions. To dissect those numbers just a little bit further, he had 8 targets that were inside the 10-yard line, where he had 6 catches for 6 scores out of his 13. So I think he has a repeat year with the same number of scores. 13 for Davante. I'm taking the over on this.
Oh, listen, Josh, I can agree with you on the more. I'm going with the over as well. Listen, last 3 years he had 12 touchdowns, 10, and then he has 13, and now he has a new receiving corps around him. I think he'll be the Mr. Reliable for Aaron Rodgers as always. So I'm going with the over, no question.
I'm going to go with the slightly under. I mean, I think he's still going to get double-digit touchdowns as he has done the last 3 years. I think he's going to have somewhere around 11. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to test some of those younger receivers. I think St. Brown's going to emerge into maybe a number 2 receiver, and maybe he'll probably take 1 or 2 of those touchdowns away from Davante Adams, as well as Aaron Jones on the ground and through the air. So I'm going to go ahead and say under. 13 will be amazing because again, if he eclipses that, but I'm going to go ahead and just say under just based off of the stats I'm looking at, and I'm going to say he's going to get slightly under. I'm saying he's going to get 12. Matches 2016 year.
Well, if he gets 12, that's a push.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm at 11. I apologize. 11.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm gonna go over for that very reason. I really think that's his reliable guy. I mean, I guess outside of Jimmy Graham, Davante Adams is his guy from day one, so he's gonna continue to do that. of course, he'll try to foster a relationship with St. Brown, with Valdez-Scantling, with some of their other younger guys. Yeah, they got some talented guys that are on the younger side with that. Even like Trevor Davis or Geronimo Allison, but
Right.
I still think it's going to be over. I think he's going to throw for a ton of yards, which means I think he's going to throw for a ton of scores as well. So I think Davante Adams by year's end, we're going to be talking about him as is he the best receiver in the league.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah, he's going to get a lot of volume, so I can see that happening.
He'll be in the discussion.
Last team here for the NFC North. We're breaking into Kyle's Detroit Lions here. And the first subject, terrible, he says. Kerryon Johnson. Kerryon Johnson has 9 rushing touchdowns. Last time a Lions back had 9 rushing touchdowns wasn't Joique Bell. It was Michael LaShore in 2012, y'all. I like Kerryon a lot. I think he's given Detroit a lot of hope based on his good limited production. Well, I think KJ is going to get his on the ground as he only had 10 games under his belt for his 641 last year. The Lions have never been a team to produce those big volume scoring backs. I think Kerryon will have a great year. He can still have a great season, with 8 rushing touchdowns under his belt. But you still have the likes of Riddick and possibly Zenner or C.J. Anderson to feed as well. Whoever's going to win out the camp competition. Patricia, I know he's going to take the New England tradition of stable of backs, feeding it around to the 3-headed triage of horses that they have in the stable. So for this factor, I'm going with the under. Although I really like KJ. I'm sorry, KJ.
Yeah, Josh. Same way. I'm going with the under. He's a talented running back. 118 rushes for only 641 yards. 3 TDs rushing, 1 receiving. It was like when he got hot, Patricia would put him out and put in the Garrett Blunt, and therefore it's like you could see the Patriot offense already, the way they use their running back. So it's like today it could be Kerryon, tomorrow it could be Riddick, the next day it could be C.J. Anderson. That's just the way it is. So again, Kerryon is the man. That's the truth. But I'm taking the under.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under as well. As everyone else said, I like Kerryon Johnson a lot as well. Loved him last year as a rookie. I loved him coming out of Auburn. But for the simple fact that Kyle's already called this team the Patriots of the Midwest, and they have Matt Patricia, and I think they're going to use that Patriot way where they're going to use a stable of running backs. And C.J. Anderson just kind of proved to a lot of people that he can still play. So I think he's going to steal a lot of carries and maybe even some touchdowns from Kerryon. They could be a really good 1-2 punch though, but I don't think Kerryon's going to get 9 touchdowns because I think C.J. and even Theo Reddick may take a couple of those touchdowns away. So I'm going to go ahead and say under.
Ah, yes, the Detroit Lions. Shout out to all my people in Detroit. Shout out to all my Lions fans, all 10 of you. This is gonna be the under. They bring in Darrell Bevell from the Seahawks, kind of a run first philosophy, but even under Russell Wilson, they kind of morphed, right? Into that run first team with Marshawn Lynch, Legion of Boom, to being more Russell Wilson centric. I think the offense will look more like the latter than the former. With that said, I still think that they'll throw a lot in the red zone, which I think will take away from Kerryon Johnson, C.J. Anderson. Theo Riddick is more of a scat back, more of a passing downs back. They drafted a running back in the 6th round that they want to work into. So yeah, I think it's just gonna be too much swapping for that to really happen. I'm gonna go under. He'll have a great season. He's gonna be a pretty big piece, but I don't think he'll get 9 rushing touchdowns, maybe 7.
Next over under for the Detroit Lions is Trey Flowers has 8.5 sacks. Now we've seen players in recent years within Detroit come up with some volume. We had Devin Taylor with 7 sacks back in 2015. We had the likes of Kerry Hyder with 8 sacks in 2016. In 2017, we all know Ansa made a splash with 12, and but Anthony Zettel below him had 6.5. Last year it was Quarrel and Kennard, the Giants rejects, leading the way. Now, if Flowers plans to live up to his contract, he damn well better be able to outperform some of those other journeyman defensive ends that I just listed. What's also going to help Trey Flowers, in my personal opinion, is having Damon Harrison next to him on that four-man line. He's going to have Damon Harrison eating up his man all the time. That guard is going to be busy with Damon Harrison all day long. That's going to give Trey Flowers a lot of one-on-ones on the outside, and he has a lot of finesse moves, in my opinion, to be able to get that over 8.5 sacks this season. So give it to him. Give him the over. Tim?
Oh, listen, Josh, I'm going with the over. Listen, the man had 7.5 sacks. His last 3 years with the Patriots on a 3-4 defensive on spot. So imagine in the 4-3 where now you're facing one-on-ones all the time, and like you said, Damian Harrison is a big boy. He's gonna free up help. He's gonna help free Trey Flowers to get to the quarterback so easily. And on top of that, the Detroit Lions got a lot of good depth. Got some you got Deshaun Hand from Alabama on the other side. You got Austin Bryant right behind me, draft out of Clemson. I mean, Detroit got some pretty good things going on over there. I love the 4-3. The 4-3 helps you maximize your talent more, especially as a pass rusher. So I'm going with the over with this.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over too. I'm gonna go slightly over. Maybe picks about 8, maybe 9 sacks next year. For the simple reason that Tim just stole my answer. The depth this team has. They have so much depth on this team. They drafted Austin Bryant. They got Deshaun Hand from Alabama. I do believe that playing next to a guy like Damian Harris is gonna help him a lot. Gonna help free him up a lot, get a lot of single coverage. And I do think he accumulates more than 7.5 sacks. He played great while he was in New England. Matt Patricia knows him, obviously knows how to use him very, very well. And I'm going to go ahead and say over on this one.
Energy check.
Oh shit! Timmy.
Uh-oh.
What did Tim do?
Tim, you made a
what
good
I say
about that 4-3 defense. Here's the problem with it, and here's where you're not keeping that same energy.
Oh.
The Lions actually play a multiple defense. They're not in a base 4-3. Between the base 4-3 and the 3-4. Like the Ravens, they're a multiple defense. Like the Patriots a little bit, they're kind of touch and go week by week what formation in their base down for the play. That's important. That's important for one reason. In that 34, if he's playing defensive end in that 34, that's fewer chances to take on those tackles. You're working inside. At that point, your outside linebackers are kind of working in that, because Matt Patricia is more of a, when they do play a 3-4, is more of a two-gapping system from the line, right? For those out there who a little unfamiliar, when I say a two-gapping system, I mean you're down defensive linemen. Those three, they're responsible for 2 gaps in essence. This frees up your linebackers and lets them flow to the ball. And in case of the pass rushers, a little more one-on-one coverage because that guy is holding down 2 gaps, right? Cool. With that said, I think it's going to be over because this was the big splash that they were looking for. They paid this guy a lot of money. You pay a guy a lot of money, his career high in sacks is 7.5. That ain't going to cut it. So I think he'll go over to justify his contract. I think Matt Patricia will put him in a position to go over 8.5 sacks.
All right, good stuff. And finishing up for Detroit is going to be Kenny Golloday. Finishes number 15 in receiving yards. Finishes number 15 in receiving yards, fellas. Now, between 17 and 18, Galladay's targets jumped from 48 to 119. He probably could have seen more than that as well last year if the Lions decided to deal Tate earlier than they had. Another factor is Golloday played 15 games, only starting 13 of those. He's in a prime spot now to take that WR1 spot now in Detroit this season and solidify it for years if he chooses to. In terms of targets, his 119 was good enough to peg him at number 22 in receiving yards overall in the league. So with 70 receptions, had him at number 33 in the league. So in terms of receiving yards now, he was 17th with all my factors listed. Do I think Golloday can tack on another say 134 yards to earn the honors? I certainly do with a pass happy Stafford. So yeah, I'll take the over on this.
Josh, I'm taking once November 11th, that game against the Chicago Bears, his targets went from 13. Next game was 15, 8, 8, 4, 8, and then 15. Before that, it was 1, 2. He had 9 against Green Bay, 7. You know, the most was 12 that Monday night game. So basically after that Golden Tate trade, the numbers went double. He was getting targeted as if Calvin Johnson was still on the team back in the days in Detroit. Now, Golloday is no Megatron, but a top 15, the way he was playing the second half of the season, easily could be a top 10. He could have a year like Adam Thielen or better. Going with the over.
It's funny you mentioned Megatron because apparently they call him Babytron. That's what they call him in Detroit. I don't know if Kyle knew that or not.
Babytron, that's new.
That's what they call him. I don't. Let me be the first to tell you real quick though. I will not lie to you. I'll be the first to tell you. When I saw this on the over under, I was like, "Who the hell is this guy?" I actually had to look him up because I didn't know who he was. I didn't know who. I'm sorry, hey Kyle. I didn't know who this guy was. And now I looked him up. And I was like, "Oh, okay. This is the guy that emerged after the Golden Tate trade, like you said, with him." So, and as I'm looking at his targets now, it makes a lot of sense. He went from 4 to 13. He had 1 target in the Seattle game, and they went from 4 to 13, 15, and then he kind of leveled out to 8, and he had 15 the last game. That pass happy, the way Matt Stafford loves to sling it, I'm gonna go ahead and say over. I'll say like Josh said, I think he can get another 132, 140 yards to hit that 15 mark. Because he did finish 17th overall in the total yard or receiving yards last year. He was very, very close. I mean, if they want, but the only thing I do caution, I always say this is what I always say, other coaches have film too. So they're gonna figure this kid out very, very soon. And they're gonna figure him out, and he's gonna get some number ones on him this year. I don't think he had a lot of number ones on him last year. When number ones, I mean DB. So let's see what he can do when people know who he is now. Like me, and see if he put some number ones on him this year. I'm gonna go over though.
All right. I hate to do this, Josh. Put it up. Energy check. Brian.
Here it is.
Energy check, Brian. Your last statement about number ones. Here's the thing about Detroit. They traded Golden Tate. Marvin Jones missed half the season with an injury. So, Golloday was the de facto number 1 receiver.
I said number 1, I meant number 1 deep corners.
Yeah, he was getting coverage by the number 1 corners. He was the best receiver in the team.
Okay.
And that was just by injury. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I think this year, like you said, the trend's going to continue, right? Because even though
Stafford already has more trust in Golloday.
Right, and even though Marvin Jones is back, here's what Marvin Jones isn't. Golladay's a 6'4" jump ball guy who can get down the field, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Calvin Johnson was kind of in the same mode of a 6'5" guy who can get down the field, jump ball. Although I'm not saying he's the same. I'm just saying like physical profile. He fits the profile of a bigger receiver who can run a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, coaches will look at his tape and say, all right, let's force this. Like, we don't want this guy to get outside release. There are things that they're going to do to scheme against him. With that said, and then you bring over Darrell Bevell, who said the identity of the team is going to be to run the ball.
Right.
At the same time, he said we're going to go downfield a lot more than they did last year under Jim Bob Cooter. So I'm going to say over because I think he is going to get some chances to go down the field and he'll connect on a few passes to get in rhythm. I don't think Detroit's going to be very good this season, but I do think Golloday will be great. I think he'll be approaching Pro Bowl level status this season.
Okay.
So we'll go over.
I like it.
Slight energy check. Not as much that energy check Tim there.
No, we'll call it like a heat lightning check.
Jones didn't go down. He did.
Heat lightning. You know what I'm saying? Heat lightning.
And there's even talk about they don't know if Jones is going to come back at this point because he has a very manageable contract. He's a little older, and he's kind of rumbling too about his role.
Dropsies. He's got the dropsies.
Yeah, he got the dropsies too.
He does have dropsies.
Marvin might be starving soon. We'll see.
Well, boys, you know how to come with the bonuses.
Do it. Let's go. It's time for the bonus time.
Oh, yeah. And the bonuses are great because I made these up and y'all don't even know what I'm going to say. Some of them are real. Some of them are funny. And even the funny ones are kind of real. So let's start with the Chicago Care Bears. I'll tell you what. Who doesn't love the shit Care Bears? All right, here we go. The number is 11. 11 over under the number of wins the Chicago Bears will have this season. 11.
Under.
I'm going to go under.
Okay.
It's going to be a tough division. That NFC North.
I think that division, they're going to beat each other up. And I think 10 wins probably going to win that division. I really do.
And what did they have last year? They had 12 wins with the number one defense, right?
Bears had 12 wins last year.
Right. Yeah. So that defense is going to take a bit of a backseat. That's going to cost them a few games. I guarantee that.
Gotcha. I'm also going to go under. This isn't going to be the same team as last year. Again, Mitchell Trubisky's played a full season more or less. This season will be big on seeing if he was worth the number 2 overall pick or was he number 3? He's number 2. Sorry, they traded up one spot. They basically bid against themselves to get him. I don't know why, but we're going to see if he's worth that number 2 pick or if he's a bust. Or if he has the makings of a bust. We'll say that.
They start the season off with the Packers at home, and then they visit the Broncos. So 2 tough games right off.
Early, we're going to see what he's about.
Right off the schedule.
Let's go to those Minnesota Vikings. I call them the Crikings because they stay crying. 27. 27. That is the over-under for the number of touchdowns Kirk Cousins will be throwing this season. 27 because that's his average contract value per year. $27 million. Robbing them blind. So 27. Over-under.
I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm gonna say under. I'm gonna say 25. I think the emphasis this year is going to be trying to run the football. I do. I think the less Kirk Cousins has to do, this is my opinion, the less he has to do, I think the better off the team will be. And if Kirk Cousins is throwing the ball all over the lot, high volume wise, I think they lose more games that way. Because I don't think he's that type of quarterback. But again, it's all predicated on whether their running back can stay healthy. And I just forgot, to add to that, they do have Gary Kubiak, and Gary Kubiak is a running back aficionado, so he knows how to get these guys yards. He knows that zone read I always talk about with him. So we'll see if that helps Dalvin Cook a little bit, but he's got to stay upright. But I'm gonna say under for
honestly. I'm gonna say over because I think he can have just as good, if not a better season than last year, where he has it settled under his belt now with the offensive coordinator. He had, like we said, Dalvin Cook was missing some games. He didn't really have as good of a defense last year as Case Keenum was blessed with. They went from a 252 points allowed to 341 points allowed, so their point differential was only 19 last season. When their point differential when Case Keenum was at the helm was 130. So God bless that number 1 defense for making Case Keenum look like a goddamn contract-worthy warrior when he really isn't, because how many games did Case Keenum have 2 or more touchdowns? Well, I think it was like 5, maybe 4, if that. For when I remember correctly. So the offense pretty much performed almost exactly the same. They did score, 20 less points, but that's, again, thanks to that number 1 defense in 2017, giving the offense more chances and more offensive plays. So I'm going to give Kirk the benefit of the doubt. I think he can get to at least 28, 29. Yeah, I'll give him the over on this.
I'm going to say I'm going to go the under. Here's what's weird about Kirk Cousins. If you look at his career numbers and look at him like year by year, it's the ultimate paradox. If you strip his name and put his numbers in front of people, they're like, this guy's like a top 10 quarterback. But then you add Kirk Cousins to and say this is Kirk Cousins. You're kind of like, well, wait a second. If those are his numbers, why are the offenses that he's on? It doesn't seem as impactful. So his numbers are great, but then you look at the overall impact. Pretty average teams. Part of that's defense, right? Part of that, the defense has got to help the end of the bargain. But then you look at the offense, you're like, gee, if he's doing that, you would think they'd be doing better. It's a reason why Washington let him walk outside of them being idiots. It just seemed like he would produce, but the impact overall, the end game of it would be like, all right, I guess. Kind of ho-hum mess. So I'll go under slightly. I don't know about the Vikings. I got a lot of questions about them. The Green Bay Packers. Have any of y'all been to Green Bay, Wisconsin?
No.
Don't go. Ain't shit there. Except Lambeau Field.
I'm sure.
Yeah, right.
So Green Bay Packers, the number is 5. What does 5 represent? This is the week in the season where we'll hear a story about Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers getting into a confrontation on the sidelines by week 5, over under.
Oh God, that's gonna be so under.
I'm gonna say over. I don't think it's gonna be. You know what? I'm gonna say. Can I push?
No, that's fine. You can push.
Okay. I'm gonna say, depending on their record by week 5, if they're 4-1, you won't hear anything. 3-2, maybe, but not really. 2-3, maybe. 1-4, oh hell yeah, you're gonna hear something. So I think it depends on wins, where they are. I think it depends on where they are on the offense. I think Aaron Rodgers has to actually be out there and run the offense, and he has to at least see what it's like. He can't do it now in practice and complain about it now in practice when he hasn't even been out there in real game time. I think, and I do think eventually he's going to give Aaron Rodgers the liberty to audible. I don't think he's going to restrict him, but I think it's all predicated on winning. I really do. So it depends. But I'm gonna go ahead and say over. I think the Packers are gonna be a little better than 1-4 or 2-3 by week 5.
I'm going with the under. I'm going by week 3. In the week before starting week 3. The first game of the season is against the Chicago Bears.
That's a loss, right, Tim?
That's a loss.
That's it.
At Chicago, it's a loss.
Go over the list for us.
Yeah, it's a loss. That's all one right there.
Okay, week number 2, they got the Vikings.
But that's the first one. The rematch. Remember Sunday night game? How he did the heroic Willis Weed, and he came back, and that's done. Chicago's gonna take the game 1. Then week 2 is against the Minnesota Vikings. If everything that Kyle was saying, Brian was saying earlier about how Kirk Cousins is his only weapons are the receiving corps, Dalvin Cook, and etc. That can lead to 0-2 right there. That way now 0-2 hits. Now they're going to go that week arguing, bickering. I need a better offense, X, Y, and Z. That third game.
Yep, here come the Red Hot Broncos, the top defense in the league.
Exactly. Now, Joe Flacco is Joe Flacco, but if there's any bickering amongst Aaron Rodgers and the head coach, that could play a big role.
In Denver,
I'm going with
it's in Green Bay for the Broncos game.
Yeah, it's in Green Bay.
It's a 1 p.m. game.
That's a W.
Because after that,
if it's a Denver, I would give it to Denver. That's a W.
Listen, they could be 1-2. Because after that, you're playing Philadelphia Eagles, okay?
I agree, though. I agree, because that could be like a 2-2 record right there with the Eagles in week 4.
Philly?
Yeah, they got back-to-back home. Well, they have 3 home games in a row.
Oh wow!
They really get a happy home schedule in the beginning of the season.
Then they play my Cowboys at Dallas.
So
and Cobb,
listen, 3-2 by week 5 in a new system under a brand new coach. I think it's doable. No. I think if you told Aaron Rodgers that, I think he would take that.
Because here's the thing: after he played the Cowboys,
There's no way with the Green Bay Packers finishing with 6 and 7 wins the past 2 seasons. There's so much high expectations. These cheeseheads are so far up Aaron Rodgers' ass. They'll never find him at fault for anything. It's always going to be the coaching staff, and you know that he's going to have some sort of excuse, and it's always going to be like, I know that Matt LaFleur wasn't a good fucking hire for Green Bay.
Well, Matt LaFleur needs to stay out of the way. If he don't,
he's not going to be able to because this is where the Eagles for coaches come in, like the Sean McVays and the Cliff Kingsburys. He wants to be that now. He wants to be that slick-haired little fuck.
Okay, this whole thing about the Cliff Kingsburys and Sean McVays and these smart-ass coaches coming in. Look, Aaron Rodgers is a 2-time MVP, Super Bowl champion. Okay, last time I checked,
how long was that?
Matt LaFleur, hold up. Last time I checked, Matt LaFleur is a what has he done in his career? Nothing. Okay, so I understand I understand Aaron Rodgers there has to be a compromise. This is his system. And Aaron Rodgers wanted a coach like he wanted a new age. He wanted more flair in his offense. He said Matt McCarthy's offense was kind of stale. He's gonna get that with presumably he's gonna get that with Matt LaFleur. However, it's gotta be a little bit of a compromise. Aaron Rodgers, if Aaron Rodgers wants to audible out of a play, you gotta give him the liberty to do that. Like that's all I'm saying. So
because Aaron Rodgers is a Twitch gamer. And what I mean by Twitch gamers, he's worried about his own personal stats than he is about the outcome of the team.
Yes.
I don't know about that.
Yes, he is. Look at his throwaways. Count how many throwaways he had last season just so we could have only 2 interceptions last year in a failed season.
I saw that video. You posted a video. You posted it in the page or posted it in the group? I forgot. Josh, it's a really nice video you posted about his throwaways.
Yeah, there was a good the website.
Yeah,
I'll have to look that up again.
And I watched that, and those were some pretty like decent throwaways. Like he had to get rid of the football. I mean, they actually almost all made sense. So this whole throwaway thing, like I think that's a preference thing. I think some people like the guys like Brett Favre, who are going to try to sling it into like a tight window, and if it's a pickoff, it's a pickoff. If it's not, it's not. Some people don't like that. Aaron Rodgers is a guy who picks his spots. I'm okay with that. I'm personally okay with that. He takes a lot of shots downfield as well, but if it's not there, it's not there. So I'm personally okay with that. I don't think Aaron Rodgers. Well, if Aaron Rodgers cares about his stats or worries about his personal stats, then everybody else does as well. Because I think people do to an extent. But I'm not gonna say Aaron Rodgers puts the team or puts his stats in front of the team. I can't really say that. I don't go to that extent.
I'll say this. I don't think he puts his stats of the team. I think he has to come out of every situation looking like the good guy. Although he's kind of an asshole. And it's been chronicalized how Aaron Rodgers is kind of a dick. And he's been this way. And part of it is he's good, right? Think about it. If you suck and you're a dick, like, no one cares. Like, but it's no different than anything else. Like, if you're a player in the NFL and you get in illegal trouble, if you're a star, they'll figure out a way versus some practice squad guy. We talked about Josh Gordon. Because Josh Gordon is a star, he's allowed to fail how many drug tests? He should be out the NFL by now. Randy Gregory should be out the NFL by now. But because he has star potential, because he looks great, it is what it is. So, going back to Aaron Rodgers, to answer your question, the over-under, it will be over, right? I think they'll survive this first half, but I will not be surprised if down the line he starts bitching again about how – because the thing about Aaron Rodgers is it goes back to Mike McCarthy. Aaron Rodgers has to feel as if he's the smartest guy in the room, smartest guy on the field, smartest guy. And that wears on people at times because it's like, great, you're the smartest, but we're 6-10. Who cares?
Well, I want to say something. May I have an energy check? I want an energy check.
You got your energy check. Hell yeah.
I want to. There you go. Brian. Where you at, sir?
Okay, just looking at this particular inning of Kane Williamson.
Now, Brian, they always say, when Eli Manning won his championship, why bring it up? It's too old. to bring up. When the Dallas Cowboys bring up Super Bowl, it's too old. Why bring it up? Aaron Rodgers won in 2011. We in the what? That's 8 years ago.
2010.
Oh, excuse me.
Eli won more recently, actually, Tim. If you want to keep that same energy, yeah.
I'm sorry.
No doubt.
So with that being said, why when we talk about Aaron Rodgers, we bring up championship? That was a long time ago. His way of doing things doesn't work anymore.
Hey Tim, did you know? Fun fact, real quick, Tim, did you know that Kirk Cousins had a higher rating than Aaron Rodgers last season? Go ahead, though.
Oh my God, Kirk Cousins?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
What's the name of Kirk Cousins? Who him?
Kirk Cousins.
Him.
Kirk Cousins, the guy in purple.
I know Aaron's gonna get $45 million with his contract.
The guy with the K, the 84 mil guy they like to make fun of. Kirk Cousins.
Aaron Rodgers cannot do anything wrong. For the excuses that we cannot, for the things that we say about other quarterbacks that we are not allowed to say, we give it a pass for Aaron Rodgers. We say that about him. We can't bring up championships, recent ones, like 10 years ago. No. Aaron Rodgers, you could do it for. When it comes, this guy throwing 4 interceptions a game, he sucks. No, it's not Aaron Rodgers' fault. It's basically the system. It's the offense. Not his fault. Nothing is ever Aaron Rodgers' fault. Anything's never his fault. He reminds me of Star Wars, Return of the Jedi, when we go to the time of the Ewoks, and you hear the song, and they're bowing down. That's who we are to Aaron Rodgers, the NFL fans. We bow down to every little thing that he does. If he does the right thing, it was all him. If he does the wrong thing, it was everybody else's fault but him. Aaron Rodgers in 4QQ, me Spoonie, I'm telling you, you're the reason why Green Bay ain't going nowhere. You're the reason why Mike McCarthy got fired. You're the reason why y'all haven't done anything. You know what you need, Aaron Rodgers? Energy check. Can I have an energy check for Aaron Rodgers?
You got one more energy check.
Aaron Rodgers, you need a running game. Hand that fucking ball off. Okay, stop taking the ball in the center, twinkle toying around to make sure a guy get open, and you got hit you out 7 games. What the fuck? How many Willis Reed after are we gonna get every game? Oh, Aaron Rodgers going out the tunnel. He's in the blue thing. Oh my God! Here comes Twitter next, going crazy. Oh, he coming in the 4th quarter. Smiling, hey, being who he is, he gets the praise. Listen, don't get me wrong. The man has done incredible shit in the last minute of the game. You cannot give him a minute. I'm a Cowboy fan. I know it. I know Kyle as a Detroit line. I remember Kyle during that game, and I have to give respect to Kyle with this. He was like, we wasn't next to each other personally, but I remember on the wall, he was just chilling. He was like, game is not over. I don't know why y'all celebrating for. It's not over. Watch. And he delivered that Hail Mary touchdown. I get that. But his way has not been working. What have Green Bay has done in the last couple of years? Nothing.
So, wait. Okay, so let me just pick up from there. Because you just went on some weird rant about Aaron Rodgers being, it sounds like you're saying he's overrated, which is a joke.
No, I'm not saying overrated.
You've said it before, though. You've said it before. No. You said it before. You've said it before, which is ridiculous.
No, I didn't mean that before.
Excuse me?
I didn't mean
Hey, Josh, can I get an energy check, please? Can I get an energy check? Come on, right up. Can I get an energy check? Because I'm going. And you know what? Don't worry about it. I'm the king of receipts. So I'm going to get
energy there. I'm shaking already.
One of the reasons why Aaron Rodgers gets these presumable passes, and I will agree, he does get a lot of passes, but I mean, I feel like a lot of Golden Boy quarterbacks get a lot of passes, and I'll face Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Tom Brady gets passes, Russell Wilson gets passes, Patrick Mahomes is gonna get passes. I mean, I can't think of any other Golden Boy quarterbacks I leave out. Who else I leave out?
Eli Manning got a ton of passes.
Eli Manning got a ton of passes up until recently. So I don't want to hear about the pass thing. But one of the reasons why Aaron Rodgers gets a lot of passes is because the lack of talent that was around him before this year. This year he has talent around him defensively, especially defensively, because one of the things was Aaron Rodgers did so much for the team, especially without a running game. And he almost kind of still doesn't have a running game. He hasn't had a running game in a very long time, right? That was one of the reasons why Aaron Rodgers gets a pass, because he presumably has to do so much for the team to stay afloat. There were times where Aaron Rodgers had so many guys go down. I believe about 2 or 3 years ago, he had 2 or 3 guys go down on the offensive line. He was running for his life. The team still made the playoffs. I believe that was the year they beat your Cowboys in the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, in the NFC divisional round. When he made that beautiful throw to Jared Cook in the corner right there. That was that year where he had 3 linemen go down, and Aaron Rodgers literally carried that team to the playoffs.
He dragged him down.
Aaron Rodgers is one of the most prolific quarterbacks to ever come through this league. Okay. And it's one of those things where I'm not gonna look personality-wise, Kyle has said it. The guy's gonna have an ass. It is what it is. But he is a hell of a quarterback who means so much to that team, right? Because without Aaron Rodgers, some years, that team would probably win about 2 or 3 games. With him, they make the playoffs. That's the importance of him being on that football team.
Okay? The NFL massaging his neck. All the rules were changed for Aaron Rodgers.
That's not true. The rules were changed for Tom Brady. Thank you very much.
No. You know why I don't say
when Tom Brady went down, you couldn't hit below the knees anymore.
No. The reason why I don't say Tom Brady, because Tom Brady came from an old school era. Towards the end of the old school era, he was in that Marvin. Listen, in that era, there was hitting. There was hitting his first couple of years in the league. Aaron Rodgers right now, literally, you can't even sneeze on Aaron Rodgers. If you go, shoot, flag. What I do? You sneeze.
Tim, you're being irrational right now. That's not true.
Aaron Rodgers. You can't touch.
It was Tom Brady changed the game. When Tom Brady went down with the ACL injury, they literally made a rule the next year. You cannot hit the quarterback below the knees.
Brian, it was that Baltimore Ravens game right there. After the rules never changed after that. After the Tom Brady rule with the Kansas City Chiefs, it was when the Baltimore was it Ravens or it was Minnesota Vikings when they knocked them out 2 years ago. That was when the rules came right after that.
Tim, that was when you couldn't that was when you couldn't land your weight on the quarterback. When you Tim, listen. The rules for the quarterback. The rules for the quarterback as a whole changed when Tom Brady went down, because the NFL knew when you lose your starting quarterback, when you lose your guy, your whole team crumbles. So the NFL wants to. The NFL wants to further prevent that, right? They want to further prevent that and put in rules. They did that for Tom Brady and the Patriots.
But that knee, but here's the thing: getting below the knee, we all can understand that. Hitting below on the knee, we can understand that the end of your career right there. I can understand that. That's not a rule there. Oh my God, they're so wussy. It was a rule when he got hurt by Minnesota Vikings that we cannot no longer lay on you. I mean, my God, when you're a 300-pound lineman, that means basically you got to grab him and throw him on the floor. You cannot launch at him if you land him. I mean, if you're 300 fucking pounds, you're the body of the Matrix, you're going to Matrix, stop, make a left, and then get back on your feet. It's normal. It's normal body.
But Tim, I think that could have happened to any Golden Boy quarterback, and they would have made that rule. If that happened to Tom Brady, that rule would have been in place. If that happened to a guy like Drew Brees, that rule would have been in place.
I'll do you one better. If that happened to Dak Prescott, the rule
will be in place.
No, they wouldn't have. Yes. I don't have a problem with the knee with the knee on rule. I respect that. You get hit on the knee, you can end your career. But the rule to come on, guys, y'all put up articles all the time of saying how come Cam Newton does not get the same respect. Let's keep it real.
Oh, Cam Newton's not a Golden Boy quarterback.
That Prescott is not in Cam Newton's shoe. He's not in Eli Manning's shoe. He hasn't won anything yet. So we can't put that Prescott. But if Cam Newton is a former MVP and does not get the same respect as Aaron Rodgers when he gets hit, then what the fuck?
Wait a minute, Tim. There's a lot of
Eli Manning is a 2-time champion. He gets fucking knocked around. You ain't gonna call no flag on him. I mean, against him. And let's keep it real. Dallas last year, that game, we was fucking him up. I saw now one flag. I was like, oh, they ain't calling no flag. They pick and choose who to call the flags on. And when it's Aaron Rodgers,
what do you want? Tim, you're complaining about a rule, but you're trying to put all the blame on Aaron Rodgers. Everybody complains about that rule. Everybody knows the quarterbacks are protected in the league.
No, again, like Rodgers protected.
That's not
Rodgers protected. Not everybody quarterback. No,
did you see Tim? So are you telling me that Tom Brady's not protected?
Go ahead
and lie.
2 out of 30. Those are the only 2.
Are you telling me Drew Brees isn't protected?
No, not as much. He got that first game last year. He got looked pretty good.
We should have like a power rankings for quarterbacks of comfort.
We should. I would love that. I would love
the most Tempur-Pedic and then like the most bedrock.
Don't tell me Russell Wilson ain't protected. Don't tell me Phillip Rivers is
not the scrambling quarterbacks really aren't protected as much.
The scrambling quarterbacks like a Russell Wilson, a Cam Newton, Big Ben isn't protected. Big Ben gets killed back
because he wants to stay in the pocket with 2 people dangling off of him. That's why.
Exactly. So he does.
But Aaron Rodgers protected. But Aaron Rodgers is all he got to do is do this. Look at the ref flag. That's all you got to do.
That's flag. That's every golden.
That's literally
every quarterback.
Josh,
every quarterback does that.
By rule, if you have a concussion, you're out the game. Aaron Rodgers can have a concussion, and they'll let him stay in the game. They'll let him stay in the game. I
don't think Aaron Rodgers. And I would admit this. I don't think Aaron Rodgers, to me, and because it sounds like you're saying this, I don't think he's as coddled as you think the NFL coddles him. I think Tom Brady is more coddled. Drew Brees, I believe.
Honestly, I'm cynical.
Coddled.
I'm cynical enough to believe that the NFL being such a business that they are, they can pick and choose who they really want. You know, if it looks brutal, they're gonna throw it. Absolutely. But if you have somebody like Eli Manning getting fucked up and everything in the pocket, it's like, well, you know, he's kind of near the end of his career, and he really doesn't sell too many jerseys at this point in his life. You know, so. He can get the CD.
I'm 100% in agreement with that.
Right.
100%. Absolutely.
Listen, we always say, how come 2 years ago when Aaron Rodgers was getting, Cam Newton. Cam Newton is right there above Dak, Eli, and everybody else. Come on. Now, how come he doesn't get the same treatment as Aaron Rodgers? Now, Tom Brady's been in the league a long time. Tom Brady was there during the Marvin Jones era. When the defense would hit him. Now that big injury he took, that was big. I can understand that rule where you can't hit the quarterback on the knees. I agree with that. That could take you out your whole career. It's done. But then now, after that game when Minnesota took him out, now you can't put no weight on the quarterback. Do you know how hard that is?
I think towards the end of the year,
we all have tackled somebody here before. And you're gonna be on a guy maybe for a second. That can hurt a defensive player now. The way you gotta hit somebody down. Come on, let's keep it real. And that's because Aaron Rodgers. Now, if Aaron Rodgers never went out for that game, the rule never would have changed. It's him.
That's not true.
Listen, him and LeBron James are the 2 worst guys for sports. The 2 worst guys, one for the NBA and one for the NFL. They both gotta go. They both got to go because they both got to go. I'm sorry. I'm staying here. I don't care.
We got to wrap it up because we got one more. Believe it or not, we got one more.
All right, one more. Yeah, last one for the night.
Last one for the night.
Fucking Aaron Rodgers.
Very. Look at Tim.
Rule changes because this guy gets.
Tim's hyped as shit for the last one. Let's do this shit.
All right, here we go. Detroit Lions. God. Detroit Lions. I'm gonna talk about big play Slay.
Woo!
The number is 18. 18 over under number of passes defended this season by big play Slay.
How many did he have last year?
Last year he was at 16. His career high is in 2017 with 26.
Over. He's a baller.
18. Yeah, I might have to. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna push. I'm gonna say 18. He's a baller. I'm gonna push it.
What's he going into? A 6th year, 7th year?
I think it's 6th or 7th year.
7th year, I believe. Slays.
He's also looking for a new contract at this point.
Yeah, I was about to say because I feel like he's in the climax of his career right now, performance-wise. He did have a monster 17-year with those deflections. He was a ball hawk. You know, yeah. Yeah, you know what? Contract year? Let's do it. Let's go over that. Let's give him 20.
I'm taking the over because if you look opposite of Darius Slay right now, Tease Tabor is slated to be from Florida to be the second corner. Look, I know teams, I know they like to say if you're a shutdown corner, they're not going to throw your way, but he's more of a man-to-man corner. But in zone coverage, he's gotten better. He's a pretty competent zone corner as well. So I think he'll go over. I think he'll be all over the place. I think they're going to move him around. I think they're going to have him shadow different receivers. He can also cover slot receivers. Yeah, I think we get a lot of opportunities to get his hands on balls. So I'm going to go over.
I like it. Big play Slay.
Big play Slay. Tim looking like he in the Nation of Islam over there, writing a manifesto about Aaron Rodgers.
I said before we started the show, it looked like Suge Knight after the showers, during reading time.
Yeah, let's keep the deuce of floor in the head and the scalp. That's all it is. Yeah, listen, I'm tired. I don't want Packers fans who's watching and say, "Oh, I don't hate Aaron Rodgers." I'm just get so tired how this man gets everything, and the things that we argue against other quarterbacks, we bypass him. We don't give him the same. We don't keep the same energy when it comes to him. And we debate with a friend about why you talk about old Super Bowls when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. No, we can say that about him. The man cannot do anything wrong, and it's him. It's him. Now we're gonna come out and say because LaFleur is not a Bill Belichick guy. That he as a head coach, he cannot say, "Well, Aaron, you're doing this wrong." We have to listen to Aaron. How about this? Don't have no fucking coach. Just have
nobody is saying that he can't tell Aaron Rodgers what to do or like he's
not you. Not you, Brian. Not you. No, it's gonna come out. Josh hit in the nose. Let it. I hope Green Bay goes 0-2. Let them go 0-2. LaFleur will be the man. Yo, what are you doing? Why are you pissing off my quarterback? You do what he says, damn it. That's what's gonna happen. This man cannot do anything wrong.
All it's gonna take is the sideline antics of them yelling at each other, and that starts to write in the press. That's all. That's all it's gonna take.
McCarthy was having his popcorn like this. I told you so.
I will say this as we depart, though. My departing words with that the whole what I fucking hate about the Pro Bowl in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers, Pro Bowl last year, 6 wins, 6-9.
Mm-hmm.
Pro Bowl. Come the fuck on.
Seriously, this man cannot. He's massaged.
I just hate the Pro Bowl being like an accolade that we award.
I don't think the Pro Bowl.
Sometimes it is based on the performance, but other times it's the fucking popularity aspect that just kills the whole aspect of the Pro Bowl. That's what I hate. It just withers it down a bit, and that's just what pisses me off about the whole Pro Bowl aspect. That
it's an all-star game.
Grinds my gears.
Yeah.
And like we've talked about on the wall too, I wish they would bring back the skills competitions.
I love
the deep ball throwing through the net, corner coffin punts. That's one of my favorite things on Madden. I love doing just the coffin corner punts.
No, I love doing it, but I don't want everyone to participate in that. You know why? Because now when he has one of those challenges, and he throws the football and then hit the dot right there, they're gonna erase it and go, no, that wasn't a dot. The dot was close to the target, not that dot. It was that dot.
If Aaron Rodgers won the skills competition, he would want a new contract.
Exactly. Everybody's crying about Dak Prescott making 30 mil or 32 mil or above Carson Wentz, who came out the same year. Okay. So my thing is this: I want to see everybody's energy when he gets 40 mil, 45 mil. Oh no, because he won a Super Bowl in 2010.
Why? So one second, Tim. You don't think Aaron Rodgers deserves another contract?
What has he done the last 2 years? It's called what have you done for me lately? Not your resume.
What does he have to do
lately? What lately?
What does he have to do?
Is the team in the playoffs the last 2 years?
Okay, but without Aaron Rodgers, where would the team actually be?
Well,
So you said, wait. So you're saying you're saying they should let Aaron Rodgers walk and then rebuild.
Well, here's the thing. I 30, 31 years old. What can you do for me?
Well, Tim, you got to think of the
Wait,
era.
who's 30, 31?
Bro, Rodgers about 30. He's about 34, 35.
Rodgers
Years old, right?
35 and a half. Yeah.
You see Drew Brees? Drew Brees and Tom Brady are making 14 and 15 million respectively. They already had their money, like Aaron Rodgers already had his money. They are at the end of their career in their 30s.
I'm not about to go into another man's pockets. If a man wants 40 million,
no, hear what I'm saying. No, but hear what I'm saying. Why?
He will get paid though, Tim. Just look at Drew Brees.
Yeah.
No, but hear what I'm saying though.
At 38, getting the contract extension.
No, but hear what I'm saying though. These guys have now became okay. Yes, they do what they need to do, but they're into the system. They work with the coaching staff. They understand that we got to run the ball to protect them. You're not the same. They're not 20 years old.
It's easier if you're gonna use Drew Brees and Tom Brady, but one has Sean Payton and the other one has Bill Belichick, and one had Mike McCarthy.
I didn't mean to.
Two disciples of Bill Parcells.
I didn't mean to say Sean Payton. First of all, Bill Belichick is Bill Belichick. First of all, he was crap until he took over the Patriots. He took over the Patriots job. You're just making wait a second. Hold up a second. No, hold up a second, young man. This is what I'm telling you right here. Bill Belichick stood on one team because Kraft has said, listen, whatever Parcells wanted, I didn't give to him, I'm going to give to you. And he gave it to him. He had a great career with New England, especially in that division. When it comes to Sean Payton came from the Giants to the Cowboys, went on. He was lucky to have Drew Brees when he was available. And guess what? They went on. Now, here's my thing. Why can't LaFleur have the same thing and let him build? Let him go.
He hasn't even got a chance to, Tim. He hasn't even coached the game yet. What are you talking about?
Well, here's the thing. How about this? Give him a chance. How about this?
Who's not giving him a chance?
Aaron Rodgers, listen to him. Why are you coming here? I can't order, I can't do that. I can't skip around the line and do what I do. No, it's not working. Because every time you do that, guess what?
It's not working. Is it working? It hasn't worked for Aaron Rodgers? It hasn't worked for him?
Last 2 years, lately, no. It's going down.
So 2 years he hasn't played well, or they haven't made the playoffs. But Aaron Rodgers has a totality of winning in Super Bowls and MVP. So those 2 years is all you need to see.
The defense in that division are getting better and stronger. Look at Chicago, look at Minnesota, look at Detroit. All that shit you running around and skipping and skip to Malou, my darling, that's not gonna happen no more. The minute he's open for free, he's gonna get hit. Well, he'll get hit and they'll call a flag, no matter how it is. But at the end of the day, it's not working. Work with your team. Work with your coach. He's telling you it's not working. Run the ball. Why are you going to audible every time? I don't like that. I'm audible because I don't like it. What the fuck is that?
That's not the point. That's not what he's doing, Tim. That's not what he's doing. You're blowing this out. You're blowing this out of proportion.
I'm not.
All right, folks. This could go all night, but we got to wrap it up for the audience out there.
Yeah.
We're going on almost 2 hours, even with 2 members down. So, folks, thank you for tuning in.
We had 2 members down.
Thank you. I couldn't even notice, right?
That was far better.
Never missed a beat. The flow was so much better. Thank you for tuning in, folks. We'll catch you next week. We're going to be covering the NFC West and finishing up the week after with the South. And then after that, we're going to be doing predictions for all the damn divisions. And guess who's taking the East? See you folks next week.